Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back. So before I get into this video, I just first of all want to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed and continue to show support, watch my content each and every time I upload something. A big thank you. And I also just want to say welcome to the new subscribers. I've noticed that a few of you have joined recently and I'm really appreciative of it. I'm glad that you're enjoying the content and find it useful. So with that out of the way, let's get into the real meat of this week's video. Q&A time. So on my Instagram I put out a question sticker and I asked you guys what you would like to know about me, and it was basically open to everything. It just didn't have to be about property or investment or life hacks or anything like that. Just literally whatever you want to know, I said I would answer. So I'm just going to go straight in and start answering your questions, and please note I will be looking down at my phone from time to time just because I will be reading out the questions from my phone. So question number one: how much did you save for your house? So I saved about £45,000 altogether. That included deposits as well as all the other costs, like, you know, your solicitor fees and mortgage product fees and all the kind of things that I basically mentioned in my other video, which I will link up. So if you haven't seen it, you definitely want to check it out to find out how much exactly it is that you should be saving towards your first property. Question number two: when did you get your house? So I got my house last October, I believe it was. Yeah, it was last October because April was 6 months that I've had it. So yeah, I've had my property since last October 2019. Question number three: how is it being a landlord so far? To be honest, I've had a really good experience. Like, I've been blessed, thank God. I haven't had any issues I can really point out. The only thing that I've had was my tenant had said that the extractor fan wasn't working for the stove. So essentially all I had to do was get my contractor to go over to the property and sort it out. So it's that easy. And I will say the reason it's been that easy for me is probably because I've got a good team of people around me. That is, I've got a good contractor on hand. I've got a letting agent who manages the sort of relationship with my tenants, and also I've generally got good people around me to advise me, so family members and, you know, things like that. So next question: what are the costs associated with buying from a buy-to-let perspective versus residential? Right, so to answer that question, I will start with basically what are the similarities, because I feel like buy-to-let versus residential, the costs are generally the same apart from maybe one or two things are slightly different. So in terms of both buy-to-let and residential, you're obviously going to need your deposit, you're going to need your solicitor fees, maybe surveying fees, you've also got mortgage product fees, stamp duty, which is a big one. So if your property is over £300,000 as a first-time buyer, you're going to have to pay stamp duty. And then you've got things like insurance, so you want to have life insurance in place as well as like buildings and contents insurance. So whether it's buy-to-let or residential, you want to have all these things. So again, I have created a video covering exactly what are the things that you should save for and have in mind when getting your first property. I'll also link that video just here. Right, so in terms of a buy-to-let property, the additional costs that you'll come across are tax. So you'll pay 20% tax as a basic rate taxpayer. You'll also pay letting agent fees if you decide to give your property to a letting agent to manage for you rather than you managing it yourself. Potentially furniture also, I would say that's optional, because depending on which way you go, whether you want to rent it out as a furnished property or unfurnished, you may not have to get furniture into the property. Right, and then on the side of residential properties, these will be things like furniture. Obviously, if you're going to live in the property, you're definitely going to furnish the house, beds, you know, essential things that you need to be able to live in a house. Aside from that, you need to be ready to pay for council tax and then also water, gas, electricity, just standard things like that. So yeah, as I said, I don't think there's many differences between the two, buy-to-let and residential, but there you go, those are the differences that I'm aware of. Really, I don't think I've missed anything out, but yeah, if you do feel like I've missed anything out, please do drop it down in the comments. So on to the next question: do you have any intentions of investing in property abroad, particularly in Africa? What would you advise to those considering that option? Right, so investing abroad and particularly in Africa. So I'll be honest, I haven't really had any aspirations or sort of thought about investing abroad. Maybe the reason is because I want to sort of master it where I currently am, that is in the UK. And maybe when I get successful and, you know, owning properties in the UK and having a good portfolio here, maybe then I may look abroad. But for now, not really. However, if you are somebody who's keen to invest abroad, what I would advise is that, one, you need to really identify what the purpose is for having this property abroad. Like, is it for potential growth aspects? Is it a thing where you want to get capital gains on it? Or is it just because you want some additional monthly income, so you want rental income from it? Once you've identified that, then you can look at the growth prospects if that's something that is important to you. And then also supply and demand. Where are you going to get this property? What location? So obviously you may have identified the country, but what part? Is it in the city, maybe the suburbs, or more local areas? Who's who's your main demographic? So are you looking to appeal to professionals, or maybe people that work in trade and sort of agricultural backgrounds? You know, who are the people that you're trying to appeal to? Because again, based on this will determine the sort of location that you want to get your property in. These things are so important, I feel. You'll probably also want the property to be quite accessible. So, you know, where are you going to get it? Is it going to be easy for whoever you're potentially looking to rent it to? Is it going to be easy for them to get public transport there? And overall, which is quite an important thing to take into consideration, how are you going to manage this property? So unless you're going to be out there yourself living in that country, then how are you going to keep your eye on this property? Even if you do decide to give it to a letting agent or a management team to manage the property for you, you need eyes on the ground, because at the end of the day, this is your property, this is your money out there. So you want to make sure that it's been looked after. You want to make sure that no one's taking the mick and like basically pulling the wool over your eyes. You want to make sure that the rent that is being collected is being given to you. You want to make sure that you don't just have random people, squatters, live in your property for free. You just want to make sure that there's no corruption and nothing's going on behind your back, or at least mitigate that a little bit. So although certain things may be out of your hands, you want to sort of like reduce the risk as much as possible. So essentially, if you're not going to be out there where you want to buy this property, you need to make sure that you've got eyes out there looking out for you. And also you want to know the laws of the land, like the governance, not just in terms of housing or property, but just generally how things run over there, because the way things run here in the UK is going to be different to somewhere in Africa. So you definitely want to pay attention to that and see how that's going to work for you or potentially against you even. You just got to do your due diligence. So moving on to the next question. I'm currently in the position where I can get a normal mortgage, but ideally I would want to be able to make another income from the property. Is it legal to be able to live in the property and also rent spare rooms? Is there any implications, especially if it's a government help to buy mortgage? PS, I'm not in the position to get a buy to let. Right, so that is definitely legal regardless of whether it's a government help to buy mortgage or not. That is essentially called having a lodger. So a lodger is basically like having a live-in tenant, kind of. So they're not a tenant because you wouldn't be living in the same property as your tenants. You would live in a separate property to your tenants. So anyway, yeah, it's definitely legal to have a lodger. This is definitely something I'm looking to do myself when I get my next property. I would have one room for myself and then rent out the others, because I also would like to make some additional income from the property and not have to pay off the mortgage myself. So yeah, as I said, this is definitely legal, but what you will want to do is check with your lender to see if you need to get permission from them. Essentially notify them that you will be having a lodger living in your property. So I'm going to link the .gov website and also the Money Advice website down below, just so that you can check it out and get some more information on this. Right, so this is the final question, guys. Based on the previous question, if I decided to move out after some time, e.g. to work or live abroad, what would I need to do to make renting out legal? So again, to make this legal, you just need to go back to your lender, notify them that you are looking to move abroad and that basically you'd like to rent out the property to tenants. So yeah, essentially seek their permission, see if there's anything else that you need to do to cover yourself, and you should be good to go. Essentially it's called like a permission to let or something like that anyway. But yeah, just seek permission from your lender. But yeah, it should be cool, it should be fine. So guys, that brings us to the end of this week's video. Thanks again for tuning in and watching till the end if you have done. Thank you to all those who submitted questions. I do hope that I've answered your questions well and you've got some clarity on those. If not, please do let me know down in the comments and I'll come back to you with further information to help you out. So as always, if you have any other ideas of content that you'd like me to create, any other topic suggestions, please do also let me know down in the comments and I will go about and create that video for you. Thanks again for watching and I'll catch you next week. Bye.